Hey everyone, have you ever felt like you're just stuck? Like you're running on a treadmill that you didn't even choose? Well, today we're going to dive into Jeff Keller's Attitude is Everything and explore this really powerful idea that the key to changing your entire life isn't about changing your job or your city or your relationships. Nope, it's about changing just one thing, your mind. And this quote from William James, this is really the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. Altering your attitudes of mind to alter your life, that's a pretty bold claim, right? But what if it's actually true? What if the power to completely change your reality is already sitting right there between your ears? This isn't just some abstract theory. This is the real-life story of the author, Jeff Keller. So picture this. He's a successful lawyer, he's got the career, the status, basically everything he was supposed to want. But on the inside, he was absolutely miserable. His story starts in a place a lot of us can probably recognize, being trapped in a life that looks great on paper, but just feels totally empty. So, to see how he made that incredible shift from misery to mission, we've broken this down into a 5-part journey. We're going to start with his big turning point, then we'll figure out what attitude really is, explore how you can literally rewire your brain, understand the power of real commitment, and finally learn how to turn those annoying setbacks into your greatest advantages. Okay, so let's jump into that first step, the turning point. Every major life change really starts with a single moment, right? A catalyst that just makes staying the same completely impossible. And for Jeff Keller, that moment was not at all what you'd expect. So this slide here, it really paints a picture of Jeff Keller in his late 20s. He dreaded Monday mornings, was just constantly frustrated, and his negative mindset was literally poisoning his body. We're talking chronic headaches, a churning stomach. He felt spiritually exhausted. His internal state was making him sick and look old way before his time. This wasn't just a bad week at the office. This was a full-on life crisis. So what finally broke the cycle? It wasn't some fancy retreat or a best-selling guru. The breakthrough actually came from a late-night TV infomercial for a program called The Mental Bank. And in a moment of sheer desperation, he picked up the phone and ordered it. That single decision, sparked by a kind of cheesy infomercial, was the turning point. It's a perfect reminder that life-changing wisdom can show up in the most unexpected places, but only if you're open to seeing it. So that infomercial, it introduced him to this one core idea that changed everything. It's a simple but incredibly powerful metaphor for how our attitude shapes our entire reality. Let's break this down. Keller calls our attitude our mental filter. It's not reality itself, it's just the lens through which we see everything. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same event, say a job loss or a rejection, and because of their mental filters, they will experience two totally different realities. He takes this idea even further with the concept of a mental window. We're all born with this crystal clear window full of optimism and curiosity. But then, life happens. It gets splattered with dirt, criticism from others, our own self-doubt, rejections, disappointments. And pretty soon that grime gets so thick we can't even see the opportunities outside. We only see the dirt. But here's the most important part. That dirt isn't permanent. You hold the squeegee. You have the power to clean that window every single day. And this right here is the practical result of that window's condition. A dirty window fills your head with "I can't." It forces you to just dwell on problems and see only limitations. But when you clean that window, your entire vocabulary changes to "I can." You start focusing on solutions and seeing possibilities everywhere. It's the same world outside, just a completely different view. And if you ever, for 1 second, question whether attitude is really a choice, just think about the story of Dr. Viktor Frankl. As a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp, he was stripped of absolutely everything: his family, his freedom, his dignity. And yet he discovered there was one last human freedom his captors could never take away: the freedom to choose his own attitude in the face of that horror. If he could find that freedom there, we can find it anywhere. It's really the ultimate proof that our internal world is ours to control. Okay, so we know we can clean our mental window. The next logical question is how? This is where we get really practical. We're going to look at the daily exercises that can transform a simple positive thought into an unshakable belief. The core principle here is something Keller calls the law of dominant thought. It's an idea that's been echoed by thinkers from Emerson to Henry Ford. Whatever you consistently hold in your conscious mind is what you will experience in your life.
Basically, you're like a human magnet, and you're constantly pulling in people and circumstances that match your dominant thoughts, whether they're good or bad.
So, how do you control those dominant thoughts? Well, one of the most powerful tools is visualization. And this isn't just daydreaming, it's a mental rehearsal for success. The process is simple. Find a quiet place, create a super vivid mental movie of you achieving your goal, and this is crucial, involve all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? And most importantly, what do you feel? That emotion is the key. Practicing this for just a few minutes a day starts to literally rewire your brain to believe that this new reality isn't just possible, it's inevitable.
Now, for a perfect real-world example of visualization in action, let's talk about Jim Carrey. Long before he was a massive superstar back in 1990, he was a talented but broke comedian and actor. He had this huge goal, but he needed a way to make that future feel real, right now. So he did something that sounds a little crazy. He pulled out an old checkbook, wrote a check to himself for $10 million, and in the memo line, he wrote, "For acting services rendered." Then he post-dated it for 5 years in the future, Thanksgiving 1995. He put that check in his wallet, and every single day he would look at it. The result is pure Hollywood legend. Just before Thanksgiving of 1995, right on schedule, Carrey landed his role in Dumb and Dumber and found out his salary would be $20 million. He didn't just meet his goal, he doubled it. That is the power of combining a crystal clear, visualized goal with relentless action. So, visualization is the engine, and a positive attitude is the key in the ignition. But none of that matters without fuel. And that fuel is commitment and action. This is how we close the gap between having a dream and actually living it.
So what is true commitment? It's not about just trying hard. It's a final decision. It's the willingness to do whatever it takes, ethically and legally, of course, to reach your goal. It means you stop counting the steps. If it takes 5 steps, you do them. If it takes 5,000 steps, you do them. Once you are truly committed, the amount of effort it takes becomes irrelevant.
The story of novelist David Baldacci is just a masterclass in commitment. As a lawyer, he decided he wanted to be a writer, so for 5 years, he wrote every single night from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., just practicing his craft. For the next 5 years, he submitted his work and collected nothing but rejection letters. But his commitment was total. And finally, after a full decade of persistence with zero reward, he sold the rights to his novel Absolute Power for millions. That's what whatever it takes looks like in the real world.
This brings us to our final and maybe the most crucial piece of the puzzle. A positive attitude doesn't mean you'll never have problems. Life will always throw challenges your way. The difference is learning to see those challenges not as roadblocks, but as detours pointing you toward an even better path.
The truth is, every problem contains a gift. Adversity gives you perspective on what really matters. It teaches you gratitude for what you already have. It forces you to dig deep and discover strengths you never even knew existed. And every single time you overcome a challenge, you build the confidence and the resilience you're going to need for the next one. Setbacks aren't just obstacles, they are the curriculum for your growth.
Napoleon Hill captured this perfectly with this quote. He believed that every single adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. A person with a negative attitude just sees the adversity. A person with a positive attitude has trained themselves to look for that seed, to find the opportunity hidden inside the problem.
And so we end right where we began. Your circumstances will always change. They're temporary. But your attitude, that's your constant companion. It is the one and only thing in this life that you have 100% control over, every single second of every single day. And that one choice dictates everything else. So the only question left is the one you see right now. What choice will you make?